everyone. I'm so glad to welcome you today. This is the Friday Forum, and my name is Cyndy McDonald. I'm an educator, an entrepreneur, and also I'm a business coach and a grandma. So many of us all wear many hats, and I know this is something that you can relate to. As you're coming in today to join me in this Friday Forum, please put your name, your location in, because my guests today are Alan Hilting and now I can't even say it, Gillette Vira. And they're coming to us from very snowy but balmy Montana. So if you can relate to that, please let them know where you're from. And I see Jennifer Quinn. Jennifer, we're so glad to have you. You're the one that brought them to me. And so if anybody needs to talk and find out about marketing and the impact, you can talk to Jennifer. So we're glad to have you here. And this is the first topic on top of our mind at this time of year. As we're coming off of working with our students, we're thinking about what can we do different next year? What do we need to do? How does that look like? What's most effective? Because none of us want to waste our time. And we've all done all sorts of different marketing. And this is why I asked them to come. Their company is Rebel River Creative, and talk about how you build your brand, because we all want to bring clients to us that we want to work with. And that is an important aspect of the work that we're doing. And so that's part of the conversation and presentation that we're going to have today. So welcome, Alan. Welcome, Gillette. We're so glad to have you. Carmen's back. We're glad to have her. She's going to help us. So as you're coming in, please use the chat. We are going to have lots of opportunities to do different things today. You're going to see things in the chat, questions that we really want you to participate in. So please give us your attention in that area. And I want to give you a little bit of introduction to our guest today. So Alan is the founding principal for Rebel River Creative. And like me, she's a visionary. You know, it helps to be able to look at things and say, oh, there's a need here, or I wonder if I could make a difference here. She has experience in brand development, marketing communications, and all things digital, which, you know, with my technology background is something that I know and understand. Her experience includes designing award-winning campaigns for regional and national clients. She's also been a writer. She's had articles in multiple printed publications, and she has her feet solidly planted in both the creative side and the tactical side of marketing. So she has a unique understanding of human motivation. And that is something that we've talked about, and something I really am learning is a key part of who we are, especially in our industry as consultants and educators and working with parents and students. You don't connect to people just on price. You don't connect to people just on service. You connect to them on an emotional human motivation. And so that's part of what we're looking at. And that's how you crack that consumer engagement code. And Gillette is an Emmy Award winner. Congratulations on that. She's a fourth generation college educated woman from Montana. And I think, having been a Colorado cowgirl, that is quite a phenomenal feat. Because, you know, I'm fourth generation Colorado, fifth generation Colorado, but none of my family ever went to college. So that's quite a phenomenal aspect. She's earned a master's degree in broadcast journalism from the University of Montana, which I've visited. And if you haven't had a chance to do the counselor tour in Montana, I highly recommend it. And she's won an Emmy Award for her work in videography. She's worked for local, state, and national broadcasts. And also, Carmen will be able to relate to this. intern as an international multimedia reporter in France. So how long did you do that, Gillette?
Oh, it was a summer internship, so maybe 2 months, 2.5 months, and I didn't speak French, so I kept ordering the same thing off the menu that I knew how to pronounce every time we went out to eat. It was quite the experience.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. So, and she shares something with us that she's passionate about higher education. It's led her to opportunities to teach courses, work in student affairs, which many people in my audience can understand and appreciate, and serve as the director of alumni relations at her other alma mater, and the other school that you would want to visit in Montana is MSU, the campus in Billings. So I have two experts in this field that have great experience, knowledge, expertise. And I think the key thing is that creative part. So welcome, Gillette and Alan. We're glad to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you.
So as we're coming in, I know you have a very strategic presentation that to share with us. And Carmen's put in the chat information for everyone in terms of we're going to have some polling questions I mentioned. And also, if you do have questions, we'll get to those in the middle of the end. Just put them in the Q&A. So let's go ahead and take it away and let's talk about marketing and the different aspects that go into that. So do you want to share your screen? Yep.
Well, let's kick this off. Just a little bit about Rebel River Creative. We are a full service marketing, branding, and all things digital agency based in Billings, Montana. I'm very grateful to be able to work with some of the top flight talent across all vectors of marketing, branding, et cetera, including Gillette, who was just introduced. And so we really appreciate your time. The world of marketing, branding, advertising has completely changed and continues to change at a robust pace. So we work very hard to stay on the leading edge of trends. So we'll be pointing out some of those trends today as we walk through our presentation. And just so you know, we're going to be breaking this up into two kind of different segments. This first part will talk in depth about branding, what it is, why it's important, how to, etc. So branding, a lot of people think is the same as marketing, and that is not correct. Marketing is an activity, tactical base. Once you have an established brand, then you migrate into the activation portion of growing your business. So I'm going to be talking to you about brand development and what that means in this modern world, and especially for those of you who for this group, which you are all in a service industry. And then we'll transition, and Gillette will be talking to you about tactical activities to take that brand and migrate it forward and growing your audience. So first of all, I'm just going to start with 3 questions, and we won't be doing the poll. If you would put your answers in the chat, that would be great. So true or false? I know what differentiates my business from others in the same industry. True or false? There's no gotchas here. No gotchas here at all. It'll help us understand a little bit about our audience we're meeting with today.
We're seeing true, a lot of trues, some partly trues.
Okay.
A few falses, but mostly true.
All right, let's go to the next one. Number 2 of 3, true or false? I have a website for my business.
Yes. Lots of yeses.
Excellent. You're already well on the road. And the last one, true or false? I use social media for my business.
Mostly trues. We have a yes, but not enough. A couple falses. It's mostly true, though.
Okay, good. We're going to really dig into, in the marketing segment, into that social media, what it is and what it isn't. So for those of you, and it sounds like many who are using it, you'll find that section particularly interesting, I believe. All right, so we're moving on. What is brand identity? A lot of times when I ask the question, people tell me, well, it's my logo or my name or a symbol that represents the company. And in truth, it's all of those things, but really it's something much greater. Your brand identity is what your customers say about you, what they think about you, what they expect when they engage with you or do business with you, and what they think makes you different than someone in the same industry. This is really important to create the proper framework to think about your brand identity. It's way more than the logo. When I say the word Nike, I'm sure everyone in this chat right now or in this webinar had that vision of the swoosh in their mind. But beyond the swoosh, you probably thought about tennis shoes and running and athletics and fitness and people working out. And there was a whole cultural identification that went along with that word Nike. Now, if I stop, I'm going to say another word, Starbucks. The mermaid, the green mermaid, you know, in the circle and the icon probably popped through your head. You probably saw those colors, green and white, but you saw something else. There's an experience. It's a gathering place. It's a place to meet, greet, enjoy, relax, study, work, possibly conduct meetings. So it's community. So the brand identity, and those are just two. I could pick out dozens of these examples, but really want you to understand your intent on your brand identity. It's much more than your name, much more than a brand mark. It is really something that is experienced in the mind of your consumer. So it's curious, you can do all the tchotchkes and advertisements and social media, but it really lives in the mind of the consumer. And we're going to get into how that works. So a strong brand has the two I just mentioned and the ones that's more that we'll talk about. They have common characteristics. They're very different, but they all have some common characteristics. There's recognition. There's an awareness about the product or the business. There's loyalty. People love their brands. Just think of the NFL. I love my Kansas City Chiefs. Sorry, it's not the Broncos, Cyndy, but I love the Kansas City Chiefs. There's that loyalty factor. There's credibility. The brands I love and support in a strong brand proves over and over again that they deliver on their promise. It builds a sense of confidence. There is consistency across all channels and all engagements. I'm going to come back to that word consistency. It's possibly the most important route for your strong brand. It builds equity over time. You continue to polish your brand, consistently deliver, and that brand equity, that blue sky, that value. Starbucks is much more valuable than the sum of all of their little restaurant or their coffee shop locations. It's a greater value than just that. It attracts talent. As you grow, you may want to attract interns or perhaps partners or assistant, growing your administrative folks. You're going to be able to attract talent better with a strong brand. And it's a place to foster shared values. In this case, the shared value of respect and appreciation and understanding of the great value of education, and a good education at that. So brand and price are inherently related. So here we have Walmart. Everybody probably recognizes those are sunshine rays. That's their trademark, their brand mark or logo. Save money, live better. Their tagline, they tell you exactly what you're going to experience with their brand. On the other side of the continuum, we have Tiffany and Company, high-end luxury jewelry, fancy dishes, heirloom quality merchandise that you would buy at Tiffany. It's a very high-end company. So you can see where they have picked a name, put together their brand mark, they tell you what they're going to do, and their prices all wrapped in there. And what I want to talk to you, we're not going to dwell a lot on price in this particular webinar, but there is value for the service you provide. Never apologize for your price. Whether you are the high price provider, the mid-price provider, or the low-price provider. Never apologize. You do, however, need to decide where are you going to position in your pricing, your brand. Make sure that if you promise the high end, that you are in fact delivering the high end every touch point. You live it, you breathe it. The last thing that you want to do is to be a Walmart and try and sell Tiffany jewelry. It just muddies the brand. It will not work. People will not understand and they will disengage, or worse, they will think you are inauthentic. So there's nothing wrong with being a low price provider, nothing wrong with high, nothing wrong with middle. But when you position your company, position it well, thoughtfully. Why are you positioning it where you are? And then stay true. There's that word consistency. So now we're going to move into, well, how do I create my brand as an educational consultant? The first suggestion is to craft your brand vision. And it's kind of like a mission statement, if you will, a brand vision. Who are you in that industry? What is your company within that industry? It should be clear and paint a vivid picture of who and where, what you are, and how you help others, what you deliver, what your promise is to others. So if you get stuck or you're not sure where to start, we go to a classic formula, which is I help someone, my target audience, do something. So think about then that simplistic of terms. You can come up with the pretty words later, but just really understand how you are delivering, what is your promise. And Cyndy actually, we're going to go to the next slide. Cyndy actually presented this. This is an actual snapshot of a homepage website for Apple Ralph, which is a company within your industry. I saw this and I was like, boom, they did it. How I help what? Do what? Well, in this case, this company helps build better learners for life. And then their subtext says we've spent over 20 years developing a smarter way to tutor. In a nanosecond, I understand the brand that this company is forwarding. And I understand the pain point or the delivery of a promise very clearly. So as you craft your brand, we encourage you to be that concise and think about it. The next step is to identify your unique value proposition. We call them UVPs, unique value proposition. Basically, this is what is it that differentiates you from your competition? And more importantly, why is that important to the client? So you may represent young people, high schoolers, first generation families. You might in an urban center, or your target may be working with, for example, people who want to return to graduate or go to graduate school, law school, medical school. That's a whole different audience. How do you define what you do? And then how are you different from your competition? What is it you're going to bring to that client that's different? So really think through that value proposition, and that will be married into how you brand your business. The third, oops, hold it first. The third step in creating a compelling brand is to position your business. So this is where you dig deep. Tell people you're going to want to understand and communicate the company personality. It's more than your name and logo. It's what's behind that. If your company or your business was a person, and in fact, you are the person behind your brand, describe that person. Tell me about that personality. Then you're going to want to define that brand story. So there's a story behind why you chose to be in this particular industry. we're going to want to, your clients want to know that story. So write your brand story, your purpose using voice, tone, and language that really represents who you are as a person, who your company is as a person. And then you're going to want to apply this brand and story and these attributes across all of your business and marketing. It'll include your pricing, your geo meaning, do you want to represent client, I'm making this up, it could be anything, clients in Southern California or the Los Angeles area or just in the East Coast or the whole western part of the states. Where are your clients coming from? The geo is important, and we'll dive into that, why that's important in marketing in a few minutes. If you have a specialty, make sure that people know. They won't know until you tell them. And your positioning statement will be your most repeated message of your entire company. It will be stated over and over and over and over again. Be short, clear, understandable, so that people not only hear it, but they start to listen to it, they build awareness, and they start engagement, which is where you really want your brand to affect engagement. Very important to this process, and I alluded to it just a minute ago, is to define your audience. One of the questions and a concept that Cyndy shared with us is that in your particular industry, you really have typically two target audiences. The parents, possibly the grandparents also, where it's the people who actually write the checks, who can afford your services and sign the contracts, but also the students. So there's two touch point here. Your primary is always going to be the parent. Not to say you're not going to resonate with the student, but think of it in this term. You have to be able to sell the parent on what you're going to deliver for that student in order to get to the student. And you can still have voice, tone, and language geared toward the students. For example, an example of this might be on your website, an introductory page about how students experience my working with them. And then talk to that student and be very authentic. But you are going to want to really think clearly about, it's a two-tier audience, but you really need to define that audience. And then once you understand who your parent audience is and their geo and what, are they very affluent, are they middle class, are they first generation, whatever they might be, those characteristics, we encourage you to create a target profile or a persona. If your target market was a single person, how would that person look like? Who are they? And that will also help you to define how to reach them, and we'll get more detail on the tactical part. But the bottom line is, the more you understand your audience, the better you can align your services to their needs. Step 5, develop a consistent message. So what message do you want to consistently, and will you be consistently reinforcing in your content and your messaging and your marketing? So think in terms of, what solutions will you offer? What pain point do you address? What unique point do you bring that people who are compelled to, that compel people to engage with you? What's your unique factor? So think about those as you create messaging. And finally, very, very, very important, be authentic. If you are, this is no disrespect, if you are the person who really wants to work at a broad demographic, the Walmart, the lower entry point, that is perfectly okay. If you're the middle point, that is perfectly okay. Or if you're the Tiffany, that is great. Understand, as you go up that, as you start to go up in terms of the affluence of your target market, the target market shrinks and becomes more niche. So especially important to understand your differentials at a higher end market, but never, 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 I should always say, always, always, always be authentic to who you are, because this is a relational business that you're in, and people can only role play so long. So always be very authentic. You are your business. So we're gonna pause. I'm gonna jump into a completely different kind of industry. And I just wanted to show you visually, there's no audio that you're going to see case you're wondering if there's audio, there's not on this. This is a really brief visualization of a brand that encompasses, they crafted their vision, identified their unique value proposition, positioned their business, defined their audience, developed a consistent message, a high energy message for them, and they're completely authentic. So what I showed you there is, and this is a snippet from a compilation video that we did. The reason I pulled that in here is to visually share. You knew immediately this was cycling and yoga. It clearly had to do with fitness. So their brand vision is, I help people become empowered and healed through yoga and cycling. We identified their unique value proposition as the environment and the experience. It's a completely unique experience. They position their business, their company personality, voice, tone, and language, incredibly authentic. These are real people, highly engaged in cycling and yoga. And everything that is written on their website is written on their drip newsletter emails and is written anywhere, has that vibe, that really high energy vibe. Their target audience, and we know this through primary research, we worked with this company, are mostly women under age 40 working in healthcare. And we know where to find those women when they go to do digital advertising or other types of channel outreach. And their consistent message is ready to get sweaty. That's their tagline. And they are, authenticity is really who they are. So you will see them sweat dripping, music pounding. It is wild, it is raw, it is authentic. So, and I purposely bring forward this example because I wanted it to be completely different than the industry that you are in, just to show you how that visually presents through words and language and the expression of a brand, which is different. So I'm going to pause right here and see if there are any questions, and we will have a good Q&A at the end as well.
Currently for this section, there aren't any questions.
Okay. All right. I'm going to turn it over to tell you, once you craft your brand and you're ready to roll and you've really got it dialed in, you're going to need your tactical marketing plan to move it forward. And Gillette is going to be walking you through that.
Thanks, Alan. So to kick off this next section, we have just a couple of other true and false. So I follow a written marketing plan for my business. Is that true or false for you?
A lot of falses so far.
Okay. Well, thank you for being honest. That's what we're here to talk about today. True or false? I've conducted market research for my business.
Kind of, one yes.
Okay.
It's a lot of like sort ofs.
Okay. Well, we're going to dig into that. That's something that we love talking about, as Jennifer Quinn knows from Montana, because we talk about that with her too. It's a lot of fun and it's something that you can do yourself. So we'll get into that in a moment. So creating a marketing plan, let's look at what that means. But before we do, and this video will have some audio, so let me know if it doesn't work. We're going to show you what not to do.
Peter, come take a look at this.
Mr. Daniels.
Mr. Daniels.
Look at this. What's this?
The numbers, they keep getting bigger and bigger.
The clicks are off the charts.
Yeah.
Yoshi, it's Walter. We're back.
Yes, sir.
I need more trees. More trees? I'll get you more trees.
Hey, take a look at wood pulp.
Whoa. Everything you got on wood pulp right now.
He really loves that thing.
So I wish I could hear the collective laughter because I know I was laughing to myself with this, but this is just such a fun example, you know, of what not to do. Make no assumptions, right? And we'll kind of get into that with the marketing research, but this really brings attention to the importance of market research for every company. So step one to creating a marketing plan actually starts with your business goals. You really can't create a marketing plan until you know what you want to achieve as a business. So I'll just give you an example of what this could entail in your industry. Let's say your goal for 2024 is to engage with 10 new prospective families per month. It's specific, it's measurable. I'm sure you are teaching SMART goals to your students in your work, and so your business goals also need to be SMART goals. So let's just use that as an example today. You might have one primary business goal, or you might have several objectives, but the most important thing is to have those goals be concrete, because that will affect everything moving forward. Next, and again, one of our favorite parts is researching and understanding your audience. So this includes market research. This is understanding your customers, their needs, their beliefs, their behaviors, their preferences, and online and offline. And so the reason this is important is because it will impact how you conduct your marketing to reach your business goals. So for instance, a way we like to conduct this is to go through a pretty comprehensive survey process, some focus groups, potentially interviews with target audience members for a client, and do a deep dive into the data and come away with 3 to 4 target audience personae that explain all of these details. You can go that in depth if you want. If you have the time, or you have the resources, or want to work with a partner to get that done, that's great. You can also start really small, do it yourself, and probably even get some data today if you wanted to. And I'll give you a quick example. In the chat, how many of you have Google Analytics set up on your website?
We have a yes and a no.
Okay. Okay.
More yeses now.
Oh, great. That's great
Okay.
news. So Google Analytics will be a great tool for that market research, because it's showing you the devices that your customers are using, which says a lot about who they are and what they're doing. It shows interests and even down to behaviors that they're doing online that are reflected in some of your data, and it tells a story about what your audience is like and what their needs are. So I would start with your Google Analytics, and if you don't have it set up, that would be a great goal to add for your 2024 list. Get Google Analytics 4 set up for your website. Another really quick and easy way to get started right away on understanding your audience, if any of you send out an email newsletter or are utilizing social media, put a poll out there. Let's say you have a monthly email that goes out to your customers, your current, former, prospective customers. You could have a short poll in each issue, and over the next 10 to 12 months, get quite a bit of data. You could ask, which social media channels are you using? Where do you spend your time online? What kind of websites are you visiting? Ask some of these questions to get to know them beyond, of course, their need to have your services, because that will help tell a story and impact your entire marketing plan. Once you've done those two steps, once you've established your business goals and you understand your audience and where they're spending their time, now you can conduct, establish your marketing objectives that are going to support your business goal. So I'll give you a quick example. So let's say we said that your business goal was to engage with 10 new prospective families per month in 2024. So a marketing objective that could help you reach that goal would be to launch an email campaign to increase your college guide downloads by 10% in 2024. So let's kind of back this up. Let's say your market research indicated that your parents really prefer to communicate via email. They're reading e-newsletters, they're communicating via email. It's their primary method of communication. So you use the data that you got from your market research to help you create this marketing objective, because you know your audience is spending time on email. So that's why you chose to launch an email campaign. And then you are engaging with those new customers because this marketing objective is helping you, meet that business goal. So it's kind of exciting stuff. So it's really important before you go into any detail on building a social media platform or campaign or doing any kind of advertising. These 3 steps really need to be taken before you do anything else. And it's not just all like, mundane, I have to do these 3 steps. It actually can be really fun. So dive in. The next step is to create a written 12-month marketing communication plan. And from the poll, I can tell some of you have it, most of you don't. This is a great thing that you could put on your to-do list to achieve in 2024. And in fact, I encourage you to get one started this month. It'll really add a lot of, I would say it's a stress reliever to have it all written down. So ultimately a 12-month marketing communication plan is it could be a spreadsheet, it could be a Word document, but all it's doing is it's saying who's doing what, when, and on which channel. So I'll use email again as an example, because we know, for instance, in this case, you've done your market research, you know that your target audience is using email. So in your 12-month marketing communication plan, you have email as a channel and who's doing what. So maybe it's you, or maybe it's your intern, or maybe it's your marketing firm. That's the who is doing what. You're perhaps sending out a bi-monthly marketing email with tips and tricks and a book now button. And when, that's the bi-monthly. And on which channel, that's the email. So who's doing what, when, and on which channels. That's all it needs to include. It could be a bulleted list in a Word document. I prefer to work in spreadsheets. It's really whatever is going to work best for your workflow. I'm sure you already have several plans that you're working off of for your business, so make it work within that. One important component here that you'll want to include is your 12-month marketing and communication budget. So this is a great time to say, I have X dollars a year to be able to invest in email marketing, and then divide that by 12 and see what you can afford for your email marketing platform of choice, like MailChimp or Klaviyo or Constant Contact. There are several. If you are a sole proprietor, you may not just be budgeting your finances for this, but you might also want to include a time budget, because of course all of us know that you can't spend all of your time on marketing yourself. It'd be great if you could, but there's work to be done. And so you might need to allocate a certain amount of time that you can allow yourself to work on this. Or if you're hiring someone or you have an intern, how much time they can be spending on it per month as well. So that really puts you in a great position once you have that 12-month communication plan written down. Now, breath of fresh air. You don't have to keep it on your mind. Oh, what do I need to do next? Oh, I forgot to post that social media post. I forgot to send my email. Everything's written out for you in advance. You know exactly which dates you plan to do which tasks and who's doing them. Number 5, most of you said you had a website. My question to you, and this is just for you to share with yourself, but is your website compelling? Something to think about, because your website is your portal to the rest of the world. Your potential clients are checking you out online before you even know they exist. They're checking you out on your website. They're seeing if you have social media, if you have reviews written about you, if you're on third-party websites. So make your website tell the story you want it to say, because you have complete control over that. And make it engaging, make it compelling, have it tell your story, just like the website Alan showed earlier. Make it clean and compelling and attractive. A website, if you're looking at what can I do to make my website more compelling, I have a couple of ideas to share. Number one, it should have a blog. This is something that can be easily maintained and put in your marketing communication plan so you don't have to stress about it. You know, every month you're writing a blog, or maybe you're having AI write your blog for you. Either way, you'll want to have fresh content on your website. That's not only helping your SEO, but it's also creating great marketing content that you can share across channels. Your blog can be in your social media, in your email. Maybe you also have a webinar and you can share content that's all driving traffic back to your website because that blog is on your website. You might even consider partnering with someone to have a guest blog. For instance, maybe Cyndy would be a guest blogger, or maybe somebody else on this webinar that you know, you can invite them to write an article and be a guest blogger. And then that helps, again, and we'll talk about SEO, but that helps your SEO because you are building authority and having backlinks to each other's websites, and it's third-party validation. Speaking of third-party validation, another component you'll want to include on your compelling website is testimonials. This could be through, you could do video testimonials, written out testimonials, you could link to your Google reviews, but however you do it, you'll want to make sure that you're including those testimonials, encouraging your customers to give you those testimonials and asking for those, because that goes a long ways with people as they're making those decisions and purchasing decisions and deciding if they want to work with you or not. And then last, I would recommend some kind of original gated content. You've probably heard the term gated content before. And what it means is ultimately I have something of value, and in order to obtain that, you'll need to provide me with something of value to me. So in this case, it could be like a college checklist or a college guidebook that's on your website. I'm sure you've seen this where you get a pop-up and you want to download an article or a white paper, and there's a little pop-up that says, great, we'll send it to you, but you need to provide your email and how many people work at your business. So that's gated content. I know we've all seen it. So use that to your benefit. Have an ebook, have a college checklist, but don't give it away for free. Get that email. And then you can integrate those email addresses into your email marketing campaign that you have all written out in your 12-month plan. I've talked about SEO. This is search engine optimization. Whoops. Perfect. And so this is what allows your website to be found. Oops, I'm getting a little delay here. There we go. So I like to give an example. Let's say you have a beautiful store, perhaps that you've remodeled or that you've built from the ground up, and it's just this gorgeous store, but you don't have a sign out front. So people don't know that you exist unless they would happen to go through your doors. They wouldn't even know to find you or that you're out there to explore. That's just like SEO. You can put all of this money and time into building a compelling website, but if you don't have SEO, how are you going to be able to be found when people Google, for instance, college coach near me? So that search engine optimization is helping you be organically found in search engines like Google or Bing or whatever else. So while you're not paying for those listings on the Google search results, you are investing in the SEO to make sure your website is healthy and optimized and that you have topical authority to be able to be found in those Google searches. SEO does take time. It's not something you can just immediately have results on. It's over several months of work and optimization. And it's something I strongly encourage you to look into for your business. I'll just give a couple of interesting statistics. More than 50% of all website traffic is driven by organic search. And for those of you thinking about your business goals and your marketing objectives, think about this, that organic traffic generated by SEO captures an average of 40% of revenue across industries. So if you're not engaging in that SEO, if you're not taking the time to do it yourself or have someone do it for you, you could be missing out. And that could be a real, affect your business in a real way. And then finally, think about this. So the whole point of SEO is to be at the top of those search results, those unpaid search results, the results that are not paid advertisements. And 95% of search traffic goes to that first page of search results. So people aren't clicking on the button to take them to the second and third and fourth pages when they Google. They're staying on the first page, and what's there is there. So you want to be on that first page and you want to be at the top. And that's what SEO can do for you. And digital advertising is an enhancement, and it goes hand in hand with SEO. So you might see at the top of a page, you'll see paid or sponsored. You'll see some businesses are paying to be at the top of search results. That's digital advertising. But there are other ways you can do digital advertising. And of course, there are traditional ways as well. But I'm going to focus on digital today. Kind of tying back to your market research and understanding your audiences. You know which websites they're on, you know where they're spending their time and their behaviors and interests and attitudes and beliefs. And so you have that data to be able to advertise on the channels where they're spending their time. And then you can direct them on maybe a digital display ad or a YouTube ad. You can direct them to your website or a landing page that is dedicated to new leads. Email marketing, we've spoken a lot about. I love email marketing. Wanted to share, it has one of the highest ROI across all industries. So for every dollar you spend on email marketing, you will get $44 back in business on average across industries. That's a great ROI, easy to use, easy to get started right away. And build a social media presence. Because you've already undertaken the market research to understand your audience, you'll know which channels they're on. So I'll give you a quick example. You might assume that your parents are on Facebook and your students are on TikTok, but you'll want to verify that, just like that encyclopedia video we watched. We'll make no assumptions. So we'll find out where are they spending their time, and then choose maybe one or two to get started. You don't have to be on all of the social media channels. Keep it simple, be where your audience is. And keep in mind that social media is more for brand awareness and engagement than for selling. So a quick rule of thumb, let's say you have 4 social media posts in a week. 3 of those should be some interesting nugget of information to set you up as the expert you are, and 1 can be more sales oriented. But if all of your posts are about sales, you'll start to disengage your audience. So think of it more like an ongoing conversation. Any questions? And I think across the entire presentation today, we'd love to take any questions you have.
Well, thank you very much. So there's so much here, and you packed so much into this. So Carmen, go ahead with the questions.
Sure. So the first question is, what should be the first thing I do to get started?
For branding or for marketing?
Marketing.
I would say, just like the list that we went over, I would make sure that your business objectives are really clear and that you've taken the time to build the foundation with your business goals and your research and then your marketing objectives. So really just make sure that your business goals are really clear before you do anything else, because that affects every component of marketing moving forward.
And we also often recommend to clients, and we do a lot of these, we perform an audit. That word has a negative connotation, but we think of as if someone comes into us, it's an existing business, and gosh, I want to grow market share. They've been in business, say 5 years, they have a decent going concern, whatever the business is. We often start with an audit. Let's start, and we do it in 3 components. We look at their brand, we look at their marketing, in their target audience. And we always ask them, what are your goals? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Because if you don't know where you want to be, you can't make a plan to get there. And it sounds so basic and dull. It's not the sexy part of branding and marketing, but it is the essential bedrock of creating a master plan that will get you to where you need to be or want to be. So an audit of what you have right now, hire someone who can do, for example, when we do audits, we have our development team. We look, of course, on the messaging, one item, we'll just say website. We look, of course, at the messaging, the brand, everything from the user perspective and the user experience. But then we have our development team go on the back end and really look for, do they have, are they set up for SEO? Do they have authority? Are they building authority, backlinks, things are broken, whatever. We go deep and go into it and extract. And it's no got you. It's okay, your website looks amazing. There's nothing to change here. Let's move on. Or your website needs some tightening, and here's why you should do these things and why it's important to continue to build on your business planning. But I mean, that's one element. But we definitely, having an audit of everything you have right now is a great place to start. But in terms of marketing, Gillette is spot on. Having those, developing your business goals. I want to grow 15% in 2024. Break it down. What does that mean? And how many students is that? How many dollars is that? How many more engagements do I have to have? Break it down so that you have your vision. And now we work on getting you the plan to get there.
Now, you mentioned SMART goals. Some of us know what that is, and others may need reminding. So explain what a SMART goal is.
Sure. So SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable or actionable, relevant, and time-bound. So you're being super specific, you have a timeline, you can measure, it's realistic, it's relevant, and it's something you can actually achieve. So it's important to have that for both your business objectives and your marketing objectives that support what your business objectives are.
And I think that's key, because that is something that we do with our students, but we often forget to do it ourselves, especially from the business aspect. So I think one of the messages I hope everyone's taken away is we can be driving our business, driving the car, but if we don't know where we're going, how do you know when you get there?
Exactly. That's a great analogy right there.
And connecting, one of the other things that I think I want to point out is you said that, trying to be everything to everyone. Why does that not work?
Excellent question. If I go to Tiffany's and I'm going to walk in there and I see that, in addition to the $100,000 very high-end watches and jewelry, they have a $10.95 special this week only, and they have flashing lights and it's the fluorescent and it's that hurry, buy now, limited quantities. I'm going to step back and go, wait a minute. I did not expect that experience within the Tiffany brand. So at that point, I'm going to stop, take a big step back and say, they say they're high end, and I'm willing to pay that $100,000 for a very fancy something because there's value and that's what they represent. But all of a sudden, I'm going to step back and say, but maybe they're fooling me. They have this low entry price point, and that doesn't resonate with their brand. That's a very, very, that would never happen in Tiffany's, I'm sure. That's a very rudimentary way of explaining disengagement and blurring your brand. So when I say blurring your brand, I'm telling you, you come to Rebel River, you are going to get a top flight team to deliver first-class marketing experience, working with you on your goals. But then we have this special over here for $50. You can come in and get a website. That doesn't resonate. You can't do both. You can't expect both. There's a reason why big companies, Coca-Cola to Nike, to name your a Mercedes and a Kia vehicle. They're both drivable. They're going to get you from point A to point B, but you're going to have a different experience when you go to buy them, when you go to get them serviced, when you get in the car. It's a whole different experience. Neither one is better or right or wrong. That's not it. They are true to what they tell you. You buy a Kia, you're going to get a reliable car. It's comfortable. It's going to lose value faster, and it's probably not as posh inside as your Mercedes. You're going to have different experiences, but you wouldn't want Mercedes to start having Kias to sell alongside their Mercedes. It blurs that brand. So in terms, and this is a particularly great question for the expectation, because you are in a service industry. You are the brand. So the engagement I have as maybe a parent or a student with you, you need to tell me what you're gonna, how you're gonna treat me and what I can expect, and then stay true to it. And if you start, I'm paying you high end because you're gonna help me get into medical school at one of my premier 3 choices or whatever, and I'm paying that high end, that's what I expect. But if I suddenly see that you're also, and it's not, this isn't judgmental, it's not good or bad, it is how you are positioning your services. But if then I see you've got some specials over here, 50% off, I'm gonna be, whoa, wait a minute. I thought they were really fully committed to this high level experience. And now I see they're not. So I start to question everything. That's in essence why when you decide where your brand is, consistent, 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 don't deviate.
Yeah. And that's hard, especially in an industry, a service industry like ours, because we do want to serve people at both ends, and we want to make, be equitable in all the things that we do. But creating that brand and being able to do that in a way that is consistent and doesn't muddy the waters is a big challenge in our industry. We are totally out of time. Thank you so much. We can see we've got lots of comments. We're going to be putting things in the show notes. They'll have links to Rebel River Creative, Alan and Gillette. Thank you so much. Carmen, thank you for being here. Watch your emails, because I will be sending all these topics or things that I'm going to be offering 3-hour workshops on. Name your price. I just did one this week. I'll be offering another one. I've got a whole series of 6 different workshops that I'm going to be offering this year to help work on these different topics, and marketing there's 3 of them. So be watching for more and be able to share this with others, especially through your social media. Gillette's told you how that can benefit. We are a content-driven business. You have knowledge and expertise that you can share, and that you readily and willingly and share magnanimously with other people. So don't be afraid to do that, but know how that's affecting you and your business. And Jennifer Quinn went through this. So thank you, Jennifer, for sharing your thoughts and being on the call today. Again, thank you, Alan. Thank you, Gillette. And thank you, everybody. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you back here in a few weeks. And we're going to talk about SEO and blogs with Mark Gray, who also does a lot of things for Council More. So everybody have a great weekend, and I'll look forward to seeing you in a few weeks.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.